Jacob Peterson manages an Indian orphanage. With a small staff, he works as hard as he can to keep the orphanage afloat and is personally invested in the young charges, particularly Pramod, whom he has cared for since his birth. The orphanage has been in danger of collapse for 8 years and faces bankruptcy. A Danish corporation offers a substantial donation to maintain the orphanage if Jacob returns to Denmark, where he grew up, to receive the donation in person. Apparently the CEO, Jørgen Hansen, wishes to meet Jacob. Upset when he learns that Jacob must travel to Copenhagen, Pramod insists that he return for Pramod's birthday, which is in 8 days. Jacob departs for Denmark. Once there he's greeted by a driver and a young man named Christian and checked into a luxurious suite paid for by the corporation. Jacob meets with Jørgen, who says he's still considering which project to fund. This surprises Jacob, who had understood that the decision was already made. Christian is marrying Jørgen's daughter Anna and Jørgen invites Jacob to the wedding. During the ceremony, Jørgen's wife Helen notices Jacob. They are formally introduced during the reception, but not for the first time. 20 years earlier, she was the love of his life. But he was unfaithful with her best friend and they broke up. During Anna's speech at the marriage festivities, Jacob learns that she isn't Jørgen's biological daughter. His suspicion that she might be his own is confirmed by Helen the next day. Jacob is angry to just be learning this now. Helen claims that they'd tried to track him down in India. She is compelled to tell Anna about Jacob. The two meet and get along well, if slightly awkwardly. Jørgen stalls the negotiations relating to funding, which distresses Jacob because of his promise to return for Pramod's birthday. Jacob attempts to explain, but the disappointed Pramod cuts the phone call short. Jørgen discloses that he will create a foundation in Jacob and Anna's names and fund it with a large sum of money. One of the conditions of the contract would be that Jacob must live in Denmark. At first Jacob cannot comply, thinking of Pramod and the other children who have been part of his life for so long. He also resents the implication that he could be bought by Jørgen. When Jacob storms out, Jørgen runs after him and admits the real motivation. He is terminally ill. Jørgen had brought Jacob to Denmark so he could care for Anna and Helen, as well as Jørgen's twin sons Morten and Martin. Angered at this deception, Jacob hastily leaves for his hotel room. Later, Anna arrives distressed because she has just discovered Christian with another woman. Jacob comforts her, realizing his need for her in his life. He signs the contract with Jørgen with the conditions intact. Jørgen dies on Jacob's next visit to India. Construction work at the orphanage is well underway. Jacob invites Pramod to come to Denmark to live with him, but partly because Jacob used to rail against the rich, Pramod decides to stay in his home country.